Back in 2023, I made a terrible mistake. I did not play Robocop Rogue City. When I did finally play it, I was actually kind of blown away by how much more than just some sort of fan service nostalgia grab it was, because it actually was pretty novel in a lot of ways, while still absolutely 100% being totally Robocop. When its standalone DLC Unfinished Business was announced, I swore that I would not make the same mistake again, and I'm gonna make sure you don't make it either, because this game rules, and it is absolutely worth your time. Okay, really quick, it's not like I deliberately slept on playing Robocop Rogue City. It just so happened to come out in 2023, which was a stacked year. I'm talking Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, Alan Wake 2, and Wanted Dead. Yes, one of the best games of 2023. You should play that too. So it wasn't until things slowed down in early 2024 that I finally booted up Robocop Rogue City. I mean, come on. I felt like I could wait a little bit. It was a licensed game from a dormant franchise, likely just trying to ride the wave of nostalgia and fan service, which it was, but it was also so much more than that. While Rogue City has its share of fan service, it also took time to explore themes the mainline Robocop films touched on, but didn't have the time to dig deeper into, like therapy sessions that give you agency in how Robocop views himself, either a man or a machine. And it doesn't stop there, because this game has a way of kind of showing the more procedural, mundane responsibilities of Robocop, whether that's listening to the complaints of the city people coming into the police station, or, doing the real exciting cop stuff, like leaving parking tickets.
One parking ticket is all it takes to improve mindfulness.
It was all balanced between the world's signature satire and quirkiness, with a hefty dose of humanity and levity interlaced through its side quests.
I don't remember getting on a roller coaster.
All of this genuinely kind of took me off guard, and it absolutely ruled. Now enter Unfinished Business. If Rogue City was an opportunity to explore the more psychological elements of Robocop and capture the day-to-day procedural life of a cop, Unfinished Business triples down on just being an unstoppable walking tank. And puts you, Robocop, in a building against hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of mercenaries armed to the teeth. And probably the most compelling thing about Unfinished Business is that it's completely standalone. I'd even argue you don't even have to play Rogue City to play Unfinished Business. All right, so here's the setup. Mercenaries bust into the Detroit police station, slaughter its cops, and steal OCP Technology, the corporate entity that funded the Robocop program, and have shacked up in a tower that Robocop now must infiltrate. And thus, Robocop's mission begins, except is it one of revenge, or is he just fulfilling his civil duty as a police officer? It's basically the plot to the Raid or Dread. Definitely more Dread in this case, but with Robocop. However, that's just the setup, because while this game is absolutely, definitely more action-centric than Rogue City, it still manages to have the quieter moments that I think makes Rogue City so special. But Unfinished Business does it in more linearity, in a way that I actually think makes the game more of an eloquent experience than Rogue City. I was definitely a little concerned that Unfinished Business would lose some of the side quests that I think make Rogue City so good, but they are here and they are fantastic and they are quirky as ever. In between these action-packed segments where you're absolutely just slaughtering dudes, you are able to meet people in the ghettos that are living in this tower, including a sad man in a wheelchair who can't go upstairs to visit his wife. And it's your job to go upstairs and find out if she's okay, which you might find out something that I want to ruin.
I can carry you to your wife.
Oh, without a doubt. But my neighbors tried that once and they dropped me.
And why is Robocop doing this? I don't know, but it's awesome. But this does serve a purpose. These side quests do kind of continue the theme of how you want your Robocop to be, on whether or not he is Alex Murphy or the OCP-001 unit. You know, this kind of balance of like the humane and lawful. And I think the game does such a good job of carrying that through without derailing it too much, while still, you know, getting to meet the people and the personalities of this place, while still absolutely, you know, definitely like killing dudes. And this is where I feel like Unfinished Business is quite eloquent, because it's exceptionally well paced. In Rogue City, the game was much bigger in a lot of ways. You would do a big mission, you would go to the police station, you'd be able to mingle with the other police officers, and then you would go to a section of Detroit that would operate as like its own little hub area. And there you were given a lot of time to be able to go around, meet people, and pick up leads, and kind of play things your own way. Unfinished Business always is constantly kind of propelling you through this tower, but does so in such a balanced, linear way where you don't lose sight of those quiet moments. You go through insane, awesome, cool action sequences, then you meet a bunch of quirky characters, but then the game manages to completely flip the script. And while you've been playing as Robocop as this like unstoppable tank, the game at one point allows you to play as Alex Murphy in the past before becoming Robocop. This isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailer. But this scene rules, because it takes everything you think you've learned about playing as Robocop and completely strips that away. Suddenly, you no longer have a HUD. You no longer know how much ammunition is in your gun. You can do this weird thing called crouch, because you're like not a robot. You're not like the slow moving Tin Man. And this is genuinely fascinating because it conditions you to play a certain way that when you become Alex Murphy, you suddenly feel so vulnerable, even though you're in the exact same situations. You're killing the exact same thugs, but you're forced to completely think about that scenario differently. And it's in this game's way of showing you action, showing you quieter moments, taking mechanics away and then giving them back to you. Feels just so unique and interesting and cool in a game like this that I would not have anticipated being done in like what is essentially like a budget title, sort of AA experience. And on the topic of combat, there are things that are actually different in Unfinished Business. So when you start Unfinished Business, if you played Rogue City, as you go through Rogue City, you eventually unlock a number of abilities that Robocop has. But in this case, Unfinished Business just starts with them. So that means you have a shield, there's a dash move, you can go forward, there's like almost like a flash grenade kind of move you do from your arm, and then there's a slow-mo you can do. Where in Rogue City you would unlock these through a skill tree over time, in Unfinished Business, you now just kind of upgrade those abilities throughout the 8-hour campaign, just making them stronger and stronger and stronger. Then the other thing this game added, which I don't really think works, but it's fun when you do it right, are takedowns. Enemies will kind of conveniently stand towards certain items, like a TV or a garbage chute or like a soda machine. And if you get up to them, you get prompted to press RB and you can take those dudes out on it. It's not very, I know I used eloquent earlier. These aren't quite as, these really show the game's, I don't know, not as polished parts. There's also really no reward for doing this. So you're usually just surrounded around enemies. And in order to do these takedowns, you have to kind of force yourself into harm's way to do it. And when you do it, it's just a cool thing you do. But in most cases, you're just putting yourself in the line of fire and it's not really worth it. But they are, you know, they are funny when they happen.
Push forward! Contact!
I think the thing that kind of stood out to me the most while playing this was how the DLC managed to use existing assets and elements to not only expand on them, but experiment with them and even feature different play styles. All of which is wrapped up in a sweet and satisfying 8 hours. I had such a good, satisfying experience from playing this that it got me thinking a lot about standalone DLCs as a whole, and how I actually kind of feel like this is a practice that developers should be looking at more. Now, of course, this isn't entirely novel or new. Red Dead Redemption did it with Undead Nightmare, and so when that originally came out, you could buy it as a standalone game instead of having it packaged with the original. Far Cry did this with Far Cry Blood Dragon, and then there was the excellent noir mystery of Halo ODST, which is my favorite Halo game experience. All of these examples are the same as Unfinished Business in that they expand on its base game, the mechanics, while adding something new and different, so it just doesn't feel like the game is treading the same water all over again. In a moment where game development is taking longer, where game development is getting more expensive, and layoffs are looming over this industry at all times, this kind of feels like a reasonable solution to some of game development's biggest issues. Robocop Rogue City Unfinished Business comes only a year and a half after Rogue City, and I'd rather have that than wait potentially another 5 years for a new Robocop installment. And with that, I'd buy that for $1 or 30. Definitely 30, because that's how much this game is. And it is absolutely, totally worth it, because I like this game. All right, that's it. Have you been playing Unfinished Business? You know what to do. Let me know in the comments. Only tell me if you think it's as amazing as I do, because if you think otherwise, just lie. Leave a comment and lie that you're really enjoying it. Yeah. Also, like, you should play Rogue City too. You should play all of it. They're both good. Or have you played Rogue City and you're considering this? Let me know. You should consider it. That's the end of it. Okay, see ya.